The massive screen in Earth's Central Command lit up with an incoming transmission. Admiral James Walker stood straight, his weathered face showing no emotion as the alien delegation appeared before him. The representatives of the Galactic Coalition looked down at him through their screen, all 6 of them tall, proud, and radiating an air of superiority that made Walker's jaw tighten. "We have completed our initial survey of your system's defenses," announced the lead alien, Ambassador Rex. His silver skin gleamed under the lights of his ship's bridge. "We must say, we are concerned." Walker kept his face neutral, though he noticed how several junior officers behind him shifted uncomfortably. The Coalition's massive survey fleet had spent the past week scanning Earth's defensive capabilities, and he knew exactly what was coming next. "Only 50 ships," Rex continued, his tone dripping with barely hidden mockery. "The smallest defensive fleet we've ever encountered from a spacefaring civilization. Even the Mindarin Republic, barely out of their Stone Age, maintains a fleet of over 500 vessels." Behind Walker, Lieutenant Tom Davis clenched his fists. Walker shot him a warning glance. Now wasn't the time to react. The second alien, a female named Vex, leaned forward. "For comparison, the Coalition maintains a fleet of 20,000 ships. The smallest member race of our alliance has at least 300 vessels for planetary defense." Walker nodded slowly. "We appreciate your concern for our safety, Ambassador Rex. Earth does indeed maintain a small fleet." "Small," Rex laughed, a strange clicking sound that made several humans wince. "It's beyond small. It's virtually defenseless. You have barely enough ships to patrol your own solar system, let alone defend against any real threat." The alien council members exchanged knowing looks. Rex's expression shifted to what he probably thought was benevolent concern. "This is why we're extending a special offer. The Coalition is willing to accept Earth as a protected species." Walker raised an eyebrow. "Protected species?" "Yes," Vex explained, her tone particularly patronizing. "You would fall under our direct protection. Given your limited capabilities, we believe this is the best option for humanity's survival. The galaxy is a dangerous place for vulnerable civilizations." Walker could feel the tension in the room rising. Every human officer present knew what Earth's fleet was truly capable of, but they had strict orders to maintain the facade. Let the Coalition think what they wanted, for now. "We would also assign a permanent defensive fleet to your system," Rex continued. "Of course, you would need to pay a reasonable protection fee, but that's a small price for guaranteed safety." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "That's a generous offer, Ambassador. We'll need time to discuss this with our world government." Of course," Rex said, waving a long-fingered hand dismissively. "Though I must stress the importance of quick action. Our scans show your ships are barely armed by Coalition standards. They're practically civilian vessels. The weapons we detected wouldn't even scratch the paint on a proper warship." As the transmission ended, the room remained silent for a moment. Then Lieutenant Davis couldn't contain himself any longer. "They have no idea, do they, sir?" Walker finally allowed himself a real smile. "No, Tom, they don't, and that's exactly how we want it." He turned to face his crew, seeing the same knowing looks on all their faces. The Coalition, for all their advanced technology and massive fleets, had fallen for humanity's greatest deception. They had scanned Earth's ships with their most advanced technology, yet had seen only what humans wanted them to see. Walking to the window, Walker looked out at Earth's orbital shipyard. There, floating majestically in space, was the flagship Thunderchild, a vessel that appeared simple and underwhelming to alien eyes, but contained technological innovations that would reshape galactic warfare. "Send word to all fleet commanders," Walker ordered. "Maintain current protocols. Let them think we're harmless. The time will come when they'll learn what humanity's tiny fleet can really do." He paused, remembering the condescension in the aliens' voices. Soon enough, they would understand why humans had chosen quality over quantity, innovation over tradition, and cunning over brute force. And send my thanks to the Coalition for their generous offer, he added with a smirk. Tell them Earth's government will respond within the week. As his officers hurried to carry out his orders, Walker continued staring at the Thunderchild. Let them mock the tiny fleet. Their laughter wouldn't last long. Captain Robert Mills stood in the command center of the Thunderchild, watching his crew prepare for their daily transformation drill. To an outsider, the ship's bridge would have looked strangely empty. Only 5 crew members were present, unlike the hundreds required on Coalition vessels. But that was just another part of humanity's deception. Beginning transformation sequence, announced First Officer Alice Reed, her fingers dancing over the holographic controls. All hands, secure stations. The Thunderchild hummed to life. What appeared to alien sensors as a simple diplomatic vessel began to change. Panels shifted, weapons emerged from hidden compartments, and the ship's entire structure rearranged itself like a massive puzzle coming together. Transformation to combat mode. 15 seconds. Mills noted with pride. That's 2 seconds faster than yesterday. Through the view screen, he could see their sister ship, the Defiant, going through the same process. These drills were essential. When the time came, every second would count. The door slid open, and Chief Engineer Jack Freeman walked in, carrying his tablet. Captain, you need to see this. The Coalition's latest scan results. Mills took the tablet, and a grin spread across his face. The aliens' most advanced sensors had once again failed to detect the truth. Where human systems showed a revolutionary quantum core capable of powering a small city, Coalition scans registered only a basic fusion reactor. Their adaptive shield technology appeared as standard deflectors, and the quantum phase torpedoes looked like simple nuclear warheads. They still can't see past our sensor bafflers, Freeman said proudly. 20 years of research well spent, if you ask me. Mills nodded, remembering the day humanity first detected alien signals. Instead of announcing their presence, Earth's leaders had made a bold decision to hide their true capabilities and appear weak. While other races built bigger fleets and more powerful weapons, humans focused on innovation and efficiency. Status report from the engine room called out Lieutenant Paul Green from his station. The new adaptive shield modifications are complete. The system can now learn and adjust to enemy weapons within 3.5 seconds of first contact. That was another advantage the aliens didn't suspect. Every human ship was equipped with an advanced AI that could analyze enemy weapon signatures and adjust shields accordingly. What might destroy another vessel would barely scratch the Thunderchild's defenses. An alert flashed on the main screen. Another Coalition survey ship was approaching. Battle stations, Mills ordered calmly. Revert to diplomatic configuration. The transformation happened even faster in reverse. Weapons disappeared, the hull shifted, and within seconds, the mighty warship once again looked like a simple transport vessel. The Coalition ship passed by, its sensors sweeping the Thunderchild. They're scanning us again, Reed reported. Reading only what we want them to see. Minimal weapons, basic shields, small crew complement. Mills watched the alien vessel pass by. Its size was impressive, nearly 4 times larger than the Thunderchild. But size wasn't everything, as the Coalition would soon learn. Message from Admiral Walker. Sir, Green announced. The Coalition Council is meeting tomorrow to discuss Earth's status. They're still pushing for the protected species classification. The bridge crew shared knowing looks. Earth's fleet might be small, but each ship was a masterpiece of innovation. The Thunderchild alone carried enough firepower to match 10 Coalition heavy cruisers. Its modular design could adapt to any combat situation, and its AI could outthink any conventional tactical computer. Sir, Reed called out. Engineering reports the quantum core is now operating at 99.8% efficiency. That's a new record. Mills nodded with satisfaction. Every day they got better. Every drill made them stronger. And all the while, the Coalition continued to underestimate them, seeing only what they expected to see, a primitive fleet of oversized shuttles. "Keep running drills," he ordered. "The Coalition won't mock our tiny fleet forever. And when that day comes, we'll be ready." He looked at the status display showing all 50 Earth ships. Each one was a technological marvel, carefully disguised as an under-equipped defender. The aliens thought they were being generous by offering protection. Soon they would learn who really needed protecting. After all, Mills said quietly, size isn't everything. It's how you use it that counts. The Coalition Council chamber erupted in chaos as emergency alerts flashed across every screen. Ambassador Rex's silver skin had turned pale gray with fear as he read the incoming reports. "The Dominion fleet has broken through our outer defenses," he announced, his voice shaking. "They've destroyed 300 of our ships in the past hour alone." The massive chamber, usually filled with political debates and trade discussions, now buzzed with panic. The Dominion, a warrior race from the galaxy's outer rim, had launched a surprise attack against Coalition space. Their ships were fewer but fought with a savagery that overwhelmed the Coalition's numerical advantage. Admiral Walker stood quietly in the corner, invited to observe the council meeting as Earth's representative. He watched as the alien leaders argued and pointed fingers, their carefully maintained superiority crumbling in the face of real danger. "Deploy the 7th Fleet," one counselor shouted. "The 7th Fleet is gone," another responded. "The Dominion's energy weapons cut through our shields like they weren't even there." Walker cleared his throat softly, but in the panicked chamber, even this small sound drew attention. "Earth offers its assistance," he said calmly. For a moment, there was silence. Then Ambassador Rex laughed, a harsh, desperate sound. "Your 50 ships, against the Dominion. They've already destroyed over 1,000 of our vessels." "Nevertheless," Walker continued, his voice steady, "we offer our help." Vex stepped forward, her usual condescending tone replaced with anger. "This is not the time for jokes, human. Your primitive fleet would be destroyed in seconds. The Dominion's weapons." A new alert cut her off. The main screen showed another Coalition battle group falling to the Dominion's assault. "They're pushing toward the core worlds," someone shouted. "At this rate, they'll reach the civilian sectors in less than a day." Walker pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A hologram appeared, showing Earth's fleet in formation. "Our ships are ready to deploy immediately. We can have them at the front lines in 6 hours." 6 hours, Rex scoffed. "Our fastest ships take 12 hours to reach the combat zone. Your vessels can barely match our civilian transport speeds." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "We have our ways." The council chamber shook as another alert sounded. 2 more Coalition fleets had fallen. The Dominion was advancing faster than anyone had predicted. Ambassador Rex looked at the casualty reports, then at Walker, then back at the reports. His pride warred visibly with desperation on his face. "The council will need to vote," he said finally. "The council will need to hurry," Walker replied, gesturing at the screen showing the Dominion's advance. "Our offer expires in 10 minutes. More alerts, more destroyed ships, more systems falling to the Dominion assault." Rex's shoulders slumped. Without waiting for a formal vote, he turned to Walker. "Very well. The Coalition accepts Earth's assistance." He almost choked on the words. Walker nodded and spoke into his communicator. "Admiral Walker to Earth Fleet. Operation Revelation is now active. Deploy all ships." On the main screen, the council watched as 50 small dots, Earth's entire fleet, began to move. Despite the crisis, several council members still wore skeptical expressions. How could these tiny ships, which their scans had shown to be practically defenseless, help against an enemy that was crushing their best warships? "May whatever gods you believe in help us all," Rex muttered. Walker's communicator beeped. It was Captain Mills on the Thunderchild. "Sir, all ships report ready. Permission to disengage stealth protocols." Walker looked around the council chamber at the aliens who had mocked Earth's fleet, who had offered to protect humanity. Now they would learn why humans smiled when called weak. "Permission granted, Captain," Walker said clearly, wanting everyone in the chamber to hear. "Show them what humanity's tiny fleet can really do." He turned to the council, his expression serious. "I suggest you all watch your displays carefully. You're about to see something that will change your understanding of warfare forever." The chamber fell silent as all eyes turned to the screens, watching Earth's 50 ships head toward an enemy that had destroyed thousands of coalition vessels. The time for hiding was over. The time for revelation had begun. Captain Mills stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, watching the enemy fleet grow larger on his viewscreen. 300 Dominion warships blocked their path, their black hulls decorated with red war stripes. Behind them lay the burning wreckage of over 1,000 coalition vessels. "All ships report ready, Captain," First Officer Reed announced. "Waiting for your command." Mills took a deep breath. For 20 years, humanity had hidden its true power. Now, in front of both their enemies and their doubters, they would show the galaxy what 50 human ships could really do. "Begin transformation sequence," he ordered. "All ships, combat configuration." On the Coalition Council's viewing screens, jaws dropped as Earth's fleet suddenly changed. Hulls split and reformed. Hidden weapons emerged from seemingly solid metal. Engines tripled in size. Within seconds, the helpless human vessels had become something entirely different. "By the ancient stars," Ambassador Rex whispered, watching from the council chamber. "What are we seeing?" The Thunderchild led the charge, its previously simple design now bristling with weapons that coalition sensors had never detected. The ship's quantum core powered up, giving off energy readings that made alien instruments spark and fail. "Enemy ships are launching fighters," Reed reported. "Deploy point defense grid," Mills commanded. "Show them why we don't need escorts." Hundreds of Dominion fighters streaked toward the human fleet. In response, each Earth ship released a cloud of tiny drones. The alien observers watched in amazement as 50 ships produced a defensive screen that would have required 500 coalition vessels. "First wave of fighters approaching," Reed announced. "Impact in 3, 2, 1. The space between the fleets lit up as the drones engaged. Dominion fighters exploded by the dozens, then hundreds. Not a single one reached the human ships. On the council screens, Ambassador Vex leaned forward in disbelief. "Impossible. They're shields. They're adapting to each weapon impact." She was right. Every time a Dominion weapon struck a human shield, the energy patterns shifted and strengthened. The aliens' most powerful guns barely scratched the surface. "Launch quantum phase torpedoes," Mills ordered. "Target their command ships." New weapons emerged from the Thunderchild's hull, sleek missiles that seemed to flicker in and out of reality. The Dominion ships fired desperately, but their shots passed right through the torpedoes as if they weren't there. The impacts were devastating. Each torpedo phased directly into an enemy ship before detonating. Dominion shields, designed to stop external attacks, were useless against weapons that could ignore physical space. "Sir," Reed called out, "the enemy is pulling back. They're trying to regroup." Mills allowed himself a grim smile. "Not today. All ships, execute Maneuver 7. The 50 human vessels moved in perfect sync, their AIs coordinating at speeds no organic crew could match. They flowed like water around the enemy formation, each ship predicting and supporting the other's actions without need for orders. In the council chamber, the alien leaders watched in stunned silence. Where was the primitive fleet they had mocked? These ships moved like dancers, fought like veterans, and hit with the force of nature itself. "Status report," Mills called out. "Enemy casualties at 60%. Reed responded. "No damage to our ships. Shield strength holding at 98%. The Dominion fleet, which had cut through the Coalition's best defenses like paper, was being torn apart by 50 ships they had originally outnumbered 6-1. "Message from the enemy flagship," Reed announced. "There, They're requesting permission to retreat. Mills nodded. Granted. Let them run. Let them tell others what they saw here today. As the surviving Dominion ships fled, the council chamber erupted in cheers. Ambassador Rex turned to Admiral Walker, his previous arrogance replaced with something close to awe. How? He asked simply. How did you hide this from us? Walker watched the screen showing his fleet returning to its disguised configuration, once again looking harmless and primitive. Sometimes, he said quietly, the best way to win a fight is to let your enemy think they've already won. The human fleet formed up again, ready to pursue the retreating Dominion forces. But now, everyone watching knew the truth. Earth's tiny fleet was tiny by choice, not necessity. And this was just the beginning. The Coalition's main war room buzzed with activity as analysts pored over battle footage from the previous day. Hundreds of screens showed different angles of Earth's fleet in action, each revealing new surprises that made the alien experts question everything they thought they knew about warfare. Look at this, Chief Analyst Ben Wood said, pointing to a detailed scan of the Thunderchild. He stood before the gathered Coalition Military Council, including Ambassador Rex and several fleet commanders. Their ships don't just transform, they evolve during battle. The screen showed the Thunderchild's hull literally learning and adapting mid-fight. Weapons that had damaged it once never worked the same way again. Even the ship's shape had subtly changed to better handle enemy attacks. One human ship, Wood continued, carries the combat power of an entire Coalition battle group. But that's not even the most impressive part. He switched to a new display. Their coordination is unlike anything we've ever seen. The room watched as the footage showed Earth's fleet moving in perfect harmony. Where Coalition ships needed constant communication and orders, human vessels seemed to read each other's minds. Ambassador Rex cleared his throat. How is this possible? Our best scans showed nothing like this capability. That's because we were looking for the wrong things, Wood explained. We searched for power readings, weapon signatures, shield strengths, all the traditional markers of military capability. But the humans, he shook his head in admiration. They built their technology around deception itself. Another analyst stepped forward, playing a recording from the battle. The council watched as a Dominion energy beam struck a human ship. Instead of trying to block the attack, the shield absorbed it, analyzed it, and adapted. The next identical shot bounced off harmlessly. Their defensive systems don't just stop attacks, the analyst explained. They learn from them. Each hit makes them stronger, not weaker. It's the opposite of how our shields work. In the back of the room, Admiral Walker stood quietly, observing their reactions. The Coalition was finally beginning to understand what they had dismissed for so long. And their weapons, Wood continued, bringing up footage of the quantum phase torpedoes. They don't try to overpower enemy shields. They simply ignore them completely. It's like bringing a key to a wall. Why break through when you can simply unlock a door that isn't there? Rex turned to Walker. Why show us all this now? Why reveal your true capabilities? Walker stepped forward. Because the Dominion isn't retreating. They're regrouping. And you needed to understand what you're really fighting alongside. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Coalition had built its military doctrine around overwhelming numbers, brute force, and straightforward tactics. Humanity had taken a completely different path. Quality over quantity, Wood mused. While we built thousands of ships, you built 50 perfect ones. While we focused on power, you focused on adaptation. While we tried to be stronger, you became smarter. New alerts flashed across the screens. The Dominion fleet had been detected, and it was larger than before. Much larger. They're coming back, Rex said, worry clear in his voice, with reinforcements. Walker nodded. Good, because now it's time to show you what our ships can really do. He turned to the room. What you've seen so far, that was just the basic capabilities. Our fleet has one more secret. The real reason we only built 50 ships. The screen showed Earth's fleet moving into a new formation, one that made the coalition analysts lean forward in confusion. "Sir," one of them called out, "these readings, the energy patterns between the human ships, they're linking up somehow." Walker smiled. "Remember how you mocked us for having such a small fleet? Did you ever wonder why we chose exactly 50 ships? Not 40, not 60, but precisely 50. The room watched as the human vessels began to move closer together, their hulls starting to shine with inner light. "Because," Walker said quietly, "50 is the perfect number for what comes next." On the screens, Earth's tiny fleet began its greatest transformation yet, one that would change the galaxy's understanding of warfare forever. Captain Mills stood on the Thunderchild's bridge, watching as 50 human ships moved into their final formation. The massive Dominion fleet approached, over 1,000 warships strong, determined to crush the force that had humiliated them. "All ships report ready for Operation Unity," First Officer Reed announced. Her voice carried a hint of excitement. This was the moment they had trained for years to achieve. In the Coalition war room, the alien observers watched with confusion as Earth's fleet split into 5 groups of 10 ships each. Ambassador Rex turned to Admiral Walker with a questioning look. "Watch," Walker said simply. Mills took a deep breath. "Begin combination sequence. All ships, release safety protocols." The transformation started slowly at first. In each group, 10 ships drew closer together, their hulls beginning to glow with bright blue energy. What looked like lightning jumped between vessels, connecting them in a web of power. "By the stars," an alien analyst whispered, "the energy readings, they're off the charts." The Coalition's instruments struggled to make sense of what they were seeing. Each group of ships was generating more power than an entire alien battle fleet, but it wasn't stopping there. "Phase 1 complete," Reed reported, "beginning molecular restructuring." The ships in each group began to merge. Not just connect, their very metal flowed together like liquid. Walls joined, systems combined, and 10 ships became one massive vessel. Where 50 small ships had been, now stood 5 enormous warships, each larger than anything the Coalition had ever built. "Impossible," Rex gasped. "Ships can't. They can't just combine like that." But they were. The human vessels had been designed from the start to join together, their modular systems made to work as one. Each combined ship carried the power of 10 vessels, but could be controlled by a single crew. "Super Dreadnought formation complete," Mills announced. His voice now came from the bridge of a warship 20 times the size of the original Thunderchild. "All weapons online. All systems green." The Dominion fleet halted its advance. Their sensors showed 5 targets instead of 50, but each one radiated enough power to destroy a small moon. "This is why we only needed 50 ships," Walker explained to the stunned Coalition leaders. "Because when combined properly, they become something far greater than the sum of their parts." On the massive view screen, the 5 human super dreadnoughts moved into attack position. Each one was a masterpiece of engineering. Not just bigger versions of normal ships, but entirely new vessels with capabilities that had never been seen before. "Enemy fleet is charging weapons," Reed reported. "Show them what we can do," Mills ordered. "All ships, fire main guns." The combined vessels revealed their true power. Where before each ship had carried impressive weapons, now they wielded cannons that could split planets. The quantum cores of 10 ships working together created energy beams that bent space itself. The Dominion fleet didn't stand a chance. Their front line vanished in flashes of light as the human super dreadnoughts opened fire. Ships that could shrug off normal attacks were torn apart by weapons that ignored the laws of physics. "Look at their design," one Coalition analyst said in awe. "The humans didn't just build ships that could combine. They built ships that were meant to combine. This was their plan all along." Walker nodded. "A small fleet is easier to hide, easier to maintain, easier to train. But when the time comes, He gestured at the screen showing the battle. It becomes exactly what we need it to be. The Dominion fleet began to retreat again, but this time in total panic. They had come prepared to fight 50 small ships. Instead, they faced 5 mountains of metal and energy, each one wielding the power of 10 vessels working in perfect harmony. "Send the message," Mills commanded. His voice carried across all channels, reaching both friend and foe. "This is Captain Mills of the human combined fleet. You mocked us for having only 50 ships. Now you know why we never needed more." The 5 super dreadnoughts advanced together, their massive forms casting shadows across space itself. Humanity's greatest secret was finally revealed. They hadn't built a tiny fleet because they had to. They had built it because it was all they needed. 1 month after the battle, Admiral Walker stood before the Coalition Grand Council. The massive chamber, once filled with voices that mocked Earth's fleet, now sat in respectful silence as he prepared to speak. "The Dominion War is over," Walker announced. "Their remaining forces surrendered this morning. The victory had been total." After witnessing the power of Earth's combined fleet, most Dominion commanders had quickly realized the futility of continued fighting. Those who didn't surrender soon learned the hard way that humanity's 5 super dreadnoughts could end battles before they began. Ambassador Rex, his silver skin gleaming in the chamber's light, stood up. "The Coalition owes humanity a great debt," he said, his former condescension replaced with genuine respect. "And an apology." Walker smiled slightly. "Neither is necessary, Ambassador. We all learned valuable lessons from this experience." On the chamber's main screen, footage played showing the human fleet in action. The Coalition's military experts had spent weeks studying every detail, and they were still finding new surprises. "Your ships can split apart and recombine at will," one council member noted with amazement. "They can adapt to any situation, face any threat. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed us?" Walker asked simply. Sometimes showing is better than telling. In Earth's orbital shipyard, Captain Mills watched as maintenance crews worked on the Thunderchild. The ship had returned to its original size, once again looking deceptively simple. But now everyone knew its true nature. "Message from Coalition Command." First Officer Reed reported, walking up to him. "They're requesting permission to send their engineers to study our technology." Mills nodded. "Approved, but remind them, they're not here to copy our designs. They're here to learn our way of thinking." That was the real lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. It wasn't just about having advanced technology or clever tricks. It was about approaching problems differently, about seeing possibilities where others saw limitations. Back in the council chamber, Walker activated a hologram showing Earth's fleet. "We're already designing the next generation of ships," he explained. "And yes, we're still only building 50. "Only 50?" Rex asked. But this time there was no mockery in his voice, only curiosity. "Quality over quantity," Walker replied. "Innovation over tradition. Adaptation over brute force. These aren't just tactics, they're humanity's greatest strengths." The council members nodded in understanding. Already, changes were spreading through Coalition space. Alien shipyards were shifting focus from mass production to advanced research. Military doctrine was being rewritten to emphasize flexibility and innovation. "And the protected species status?" Rex asked, referring to their original offer with a hint of embarrassment. Walker laughed. "I think we can agree that's no longer necessary." In the academy at Coalition headquarters, a young alien cadet raised her hand. "Teacher, why do we study the human Dominion War so much?" The instructor, who had witnessed the battles firsthand, pointed to an image of Earth's tiny fleet. "Because it changed everything we thought we knew about warfare, about technology, about progress itself." He touched a control, and the image showed the fleet combining into its super dreadnought formation. "The humans taught us that true strength isn't about having the biggest fleet or the most powerful weapons. It's about thinking differently, about finding new solutions to old problems." The cadet looked at the image with wonder. And they knew this all along, even when everyone mocked their fleet. Especially then, the instructor said, "That's why we study it, because sometimes the greatest power isn't in being strong, it's in being underestimated." As classes like this repeated across the galaxy, humanity's reputation grew. They became known not as the species with the tiny fleet, but as the innovators, the adapters, the ones who proved that 50 ships, in the right hands, with the right thinking, could change the course of history. And in Earth's shipyards, engineers were already drawing up plans for the next generation of vessels, because humanity knew that somewhere out there, new challenges waited, and when they came, Earth's tiny fleet would be ready once again.